Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our tactical breakdown series. It's been a little while since we've done one of these. The schedule at the moment is absolutely hectic regarding the amount of shows that we're doing, previews, reactions, podcasts, tactical breakdown podcasts, which I hope you're enjoying. If you are, please let us know by dropping a like and obviously telling us in the comments section below. But let's get back to it in terms of these analytical shows, which I know so many of you have subscribed to the channel for, and have a look into a player which I am so excited about. I did a show on him last year when basically no one knew who he was. Not that it's a situation where I'm going to turn around and be like, oh yes, I discovered this guy. Certainly that's not the case. But speaking of people that discover fantastic players, I've got an excellent guest for you today to talk about Dominic with as well. But before we get into that, please make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and turn those notifications on so you never miss a show. We did a show earlier on today previewing the Arsenal-Norwich game, and we obviously got all the shows coming up to react to that, the podcast, and next week we're going to have a deep dive with the guest that's coming on today into Red Bull Salzburg and how Arsenal might learn from that situation about how they can approach transfer situations in the future. But let's get straight into today's video and talk to Wolfgang Gasparik, who is the football manager, head researcher for Austria and Germany, and of course he is also an official football scout as well, so he knows his stuff. Let's hear what he says about Dominic Szoboszlai. Really interested to hear what the guy has to say, so take it away, Wolfgang.
Hello everybody out there, my name is Wolfgang Gasparik. I'm a 42 years old professional talent scout, football intermediary and head researcher for Football Manager from Sports Interactive for Austria and Germany since a long time. I'd like to talk to you today about a very well gifted player from Hungary. His name is Dominic Szoboszlai, 19 years old, playing currently for Austrian champion Red Bull Salzburg. And some people in Hungary say he could become maybe the best player Hungary ever have seen. And if you know the name Ferenc Puskás, you know what this means for him. So let me a bit introduce him. Dominic started his career at the age of 6 in 2006 at his hometown FC Videodon Székesfehérvár, a small town outside of Budapest. He stayed there for 15 years until he moved in 2015 to the capital club MTK Hungarian Budapest. But after one season he went back to Videodon. At this time in Videodon, the scouts from Red Bull Salzburg seen him there, scouted him, and decided to sign him for the Red Bull Academy in March 2017. He only played a half a year for the Red Bull Academy before he joined second tier team FC Liefering, the farm team from Red Bull Salzburg. In the same month, in July, he had his debut for the first team, his professional debut. In August he scored his first goal in professional side. After only half a year, so in March 2018, he joined the professional side from Red Bull Salzburg, the champion in Austria. Yeah, and then his career started. He exploded. He also gets called up for the national team from Hungary to this time, at the age of 17. But he had his debut in 2019. So he needed some time, but he didn't need any time for Red Bull Salzburg. So let me talk about him. Dominic is a right-footed player who is playing normally on the left side, left midfielder, but he also can play a central midfielder or an attacking midfielder. So he's really very flexible. So to his personality, he's a very gifted player, as I said before. He has a good speed, he's very fast, good acceleration, very good pace, with and without the ball. So there is no difference. He's very intelligent, a very intelligent player. He tries to play out of trouble, but he also, if it's necessary and if he see it's possible, he tries to 1-against-1 situations against a player. So he's not afraid to go directly to this opposition player in 1-against-1, and he's really, really successful with ball cross. He has really good ball control, really good first touch, a really, really good vision for his team members. So he can also play the simple pass, the short simple pass over 5 meters, 10 meters, but also he can play the long pass over 40, 50, 60 meters across the field. And the ball is always coming directly to his partner. And exactly this skill was responsible for the good time from Holland, the striker from Borussia Dortmund, who played before for Salzburg. In my opinion, Dominic was the feeding person for Holland. He gave him a lot of spectacular passes. He always had Holland in his vision. He always knows his points, his ways he would like to go in. That was also maybe, in my opinion, not everybody should have my opinion, the point why Holland scored as many goals in the league and also in the Champions League. And right now he's playing for Dortmund, also fantastic. But back to Dominic. Dominic's best skills, in my opinion, is not only the vision, anticipation, or passing. No, he's clever. He's really, really clever. Because he's 1.86 meters or 6.6 feet 1 tall. And he can use his body. He can use his body against the opposition player. So sometimes he has a big body and he's jumping out there and pulling out his chest to keep the ball close to him, and he can keep the ball very, very close. And that's fantastic what he's like doing. And since this year, since this season, I've often seen him before Corona started in the stadium, but also on television. He's a great free kick and corner kicker. His corners come inside with a big sharpness and led to a lot of goals in the Bundesliga and also in the Champions League. You can see it on some movies on YouTube and everywhere. His corners are incredible. Really, really incredible. Amazing kicks, sharp to the first post. And the players there with the head, with the feet, and a lot of goals led to this. But also he has great skills in free kicking. I've seen some free kicks, some wide shots. Excellent. Excellent. So I hope I can see Dominic soon live in the stadium. Hope I can give you a little bit more insight about this fantastic player. And I'm sure he will have a great career. A great, great career. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. And please stay safe. Bye-bye. Cheers. Wolfgang.
Massive thank you there to Wolfgang. I mean, I love the fact that he signs the video off his name. That's brilliant. I need to do that more often. But Tom and Wolfgang, I mean, the two names which are clearly so far apart in levels of coolness. It's just not going to work for me, is it? But a massive thank you there to Wolfgang for giving us all that information. I think that there's so much to look and love about this young Hungarian guy, what he's about. And you know what the thing is I picked out most about is the fact that he's an excellent corner taker. And there's so much more to this guy than just the fact he can take corners. But Arsenal are dire, absolutely dire at corners. And we need someone on that pitch that can take a decent corner because we just simply don't at the moment. Pepe's got better, it's fair to say, but we desperately need someone to do that. So really, really fantastic insight beyond just the corner taking as well. You can follow Wolfgang on Twitter at FM_Austria. So yeah, there's some really, really interesting stuff coming out basically about this young guy, and I hope that we've given you some insight that you may not have heard before. But we're not done there, because we're going to carry on with this and go into his statistical and analytical side of the game as we go into our very well trusted heat map. So you can see there on the screen the heat map showing us exactly what Wolfgang was saying. He is a left-sided player predominantly, which I know you'll start thinking, but wait a minute, we've already got the likes of Martinelli and Saka. But if you listen to Wolfgang carefully, you would have heard that he plays in multiple positions on the pitch and has the potential to be more of a central player. That's where I personally see him in the future, as not a number 10 out and out, but maybe more of a number 8 that has more of that attacking freedom into his game, but also someone that can deputise on the left-hand side as well. I really like what he's got to his game and the positional way that he plays. Yeah, disciplinary, it's a long word, in terms of the way that he returns and goes into his own half. There is maybe a little bit of improvement to try and cover that, but you need to remember in this case we've got a Red Bull Salzburg team that dominate possession, spend most of their time in the opposition half, and that's why you're not seeing too much of him coming back. So it's going to be interesting to see those defensive statistics when we get onto them. Let's move on though to the attacking statistics of his game as we look at the amount of goals and assists that he's scored this season and created. 10 goals, 9 assists is fantastic return from someone so young, even in a team which obviously does dominate the league, but the fact that he's taking the chances when he gets them. And if you look at the shots as well, 44% shot accuracy from a midfielder is solid, and he's taken nearly 3.5 of those in each game. You look at the concentration of shots, they are from all over, and that does show the fluidity and the movement of the Hungarian international around that box and where he's taken those shots from. You'll also notice that he's got 3 goals there from outside the box, showing he's got a really good long range hit on him. If you looked at the goal that he scored recently, I believe, it might have been in the cup final for Red Bull Salzburg. It was a fantastic hat-trick that he scored, and the long-range shot as well was really, really good. Shot assist 2.92 shows how much creativity the guy possesses. 4.91 dribbles with a 48.1 success accuracy is really good for a 19-year-old. Offensive duels 1 as well, 40.7% of those, and he's getting involved in over 10, which is a high frequency, let me tell you. Touch in the penalty area 2.59, he loves getting into the box. Progressive runs, he's making over 2 of those per game, and it leads to him being fouled 1.39 times, which is a decent amount, and it shows that he loves to take players on too. Passing statistics, really key for a player that's going to be playing in Arsenal's system. 81.6% accuracy is good. It's not amazing. It's good for a player of his age. I like that. Long passes, the 66.1 is an exceptional long pass accuracy. If you can get into the 70s, you're looking at world-class levels of long passing there. Really, really solid. And he's making over 4 of those per game when he switches the play as best he can. Through passes, 1.69, a 37.8 accuracy shows that he does attempt to get that ball in between the lines. Crosses, though, being a right-footed player on the left-hand side, does mean he has to cut back if he wants to cross, and he doesn't do that too often with a 31% accuracy and only 1.57 frequency. If we look at passing to the final third, a 70.6% accuracy of passes that are adventurous, that are trying to get the ball moving, is really good too, and he's making over 6 of those as well. And that only drops ever so slightly to 60.4% when you're talking about passing to the penalty area, so that's also really strong. He receives the ball 35.56 times per game, which shows his teammates trust him. They want to get him on the ball as much as possible, and that may obviously when they had Eric Braut Haaland at the club, Wolfgang talked about how much he was instrumental in giving the ball to the Norwegian striker and gave him such a good record as well. Forward to backward pass ratio is good. It's not as positive as I thought it'd be. It's quite close to being neutral, but maybe it's a guy that just does recycle the play a fair amount. Maybe it is just because when there's no option to pass it and he doesn't fancy taking on a really dangerous one, he will pass the ball where necessary backwards. So I'm not too concerned by that slight positive ratio there. Moving finally on to the defensive statistics. Duels and 1, 63.6% of duels he is winning. That's really strong and shows that he can play in that centre midfield role. Aerial duels, 42.9% is being won as well, and 2.62. It's not just like one aerial duel he gets into. It's over 2.5 per game. So winning 42.9% of those for an attacking style player is also good. Loose ball duels, he gets in and wins 35.4% of those that he does. So that's an additional benefit from it as well. And my God, is he good at slide tackling. I mean, he doesn't do it very often, but he wins every single one he gets involved with. 4.35 interceptions is solid. Maybe I'd like to see that a little bit higher if he's going to play in a number 8 role. But losses in his own half, 13 and 24.3% of those. High amount of losses. He is adventurous. He is creative. He will lose the ball. I'd like to see that number come down as he develops into a stronger and more consistent player. Recoveries, though, 6.29 is okay. But the fact that 57.9 1.1% of his recoveries in the opposition half is really good for a counter-attacking style team like Arsenal like to be these days. Fouls 1.31, yeah, and that leads to a couple of yellow cards, but nothing that would concern me too much. There you go. Everything you could possibly want regarding Dominic Szoboszlai, and I know I pronounce that wrong every single time. I'm getting better, I feel. I think that Wolfgang put me to shame there with the pronunciation, but he's a hell of a player. I'd love to see Paul Merson trying to pronounce his name on Soccer Saturday. That'd be great. And Kenny Ken too, to be fair, in that sense. So that'd be one to look forward to if we do manage to get him onto our books. It's been a real pleasure giving you more information on the Hungarian. I know that we did this a year ago, so this has been a nice update, giving you what he's about. I wish we'd have signed him a year ago and we could have seen some of those statistics in the Arsenal side this year. But fingers crossed Arsenal can do something miraculous to get this guy in and compete. I mean, if he's being competed with the likes of AC Milan, Arsenal should not pass this guy up, especially seeing as there was also an availability of instalments of a £24 million deal. Arsenal love instalments. I don't know why they wouldn't go for this guy. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Thank you ever so much for listening. Please drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and want more of this content. And make sure you hit that bell to let you know when our shows drop. I'll see you again tomorrow for the reaction of the Norwich game. But other than that, it's been a real pleasure once again. And as always, up the Arsenal.